Now we're going to look at finishing hyperbolas. So we've already talked about the pieces of a hyperbola, and now we're going to write equations given certain information. And just like normal, our first important thing to do is graph. So I have foci at 0, 4, and then 0, -4. And these are vertical, so that means that my equation is going to be y something squared over something, x something squared over something equals 1. So I already know it's going to be vertical. 0, 1, 0, -1 are my vertices. So there's my lovely graph. And this means that what's exactly in between those is my center, which is 0, 0. So I'm going to put that in there, even though with it being 0, I don't need it. Then what we can do is do our distance vertically. So my distance vertically is 1. So underneath y is going to be 1 squared. And then I'm going to use this distance of 4 from the center is my c. So for my hyperbolas, I have c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So c squared would be 4 squared equals a squared is 1. So I get b squared equals 15. And that's what's going to go in my denominator. Remember, in the denominator it's being squared, so if b is the square root of 15, when I square it, it just goes back to being regular 15. So number 2, vertices at 7, 0 and -7, 0. So my center again is 0, 0. And since my vertices are changing horizontally, then this is going to be horizontal. So it's going to be x squared, y squared equals 1, and we have our fractions. So we have a center of 0, 0 again. And then my x distance is 7, so underneath x is going to be 7 squared. And then notice you have the slope of the asymptote, so we have the 7 from x, and then I have 2 from y. Remember, changing y over changing x. And now I'm just going to simplify this down. X squared over 49 minus y squared over 4 equals 1. Now we have foci at 0, 2 and 10, 2. Okay, so if my foci are there, it means my center needs to be exactly in between those. So exactly between 0 and 10 is going to be 5. So my center is 5, 2. And that means we're going to be going, everything is changing horizontally, so this is another horizontal hyperbola. So x squared over something, y squared over something equals 1. So my center is going to make that -5, -2. Then it tells me that my transverse axis, which is going to be going this way, is 8 units long. So if it's 8 units long, it means it's going 4 from the center. So 4 to the right and 4 to the left. And that's really where my hyperbola needs to come from, because those are my vertices, so boo-boo on my part. But my center stays the same. So if my distance from center to my horizontal vertex is going to be 4, so underneath is going to be 4 squared. And now we use the fact that to the foci is a distance of 5 to plug in c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So my c, my distance to the foci is 5. My horizontal distance is 4. And then b squared. So when I get this, I'm going to get b squared equals 9 Once again, I'm trying to get an equation, so I'm just going to plug in that 9 and then be lazy and scribble out 4 squared is 16. It's okay. Last one, center at -2, -1. Then a vertex at -2, 9. So that's a vertex. And then a focus at -2, 12. Notice I'm not drawing the whole thing, and then the hyperbola hugs the focus. Okay, so since it's opening vertically, and there's another one down here somewhere, that means y comes first. Fraction equals 1. So make sure we're putting the y value with the y. So +1, +2. Now we can count our distance from the center to the vertex. Is we start at -1 and go up to 9, so that's 10. 10 squared. Then we're going to use our focal length from 12 to -1 is 13, and that's my c. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So 13 squared equals 10 squared, which is 100, plus b squared. And when we do that, we get this for b squared, and then we are done. Once again, I'm going to be lazy and just cross out that 10 squared is 100. Now we're going to flip to the other side and look at completing the square with hyperbola. So when I complete the square with hyperbolas, it's the same idea as doing ellipses, but we're going to have to be really careful with one of the negatives and pay attention to our signs. So my first step is the same, which is to get the x's together and y's together. Another difference is that sometimes it's x in front and sometimes it's y in front. How do you know? The positive squared term is what needs to be in front. Okay, the positive squared term is what's in front. Now we split it up. I factor out what's in front of my squared term. So 4 times x squared plus 2x minus 9. I have to take out that negative. So what happens to this -36 is it changes to being a positive. So that's my main spot that you will maybe make a mistake. Then what I do is I go ahead and write that this is going to be plus 4 times something and minus 9 times something. So the other difference with the hyperbola is because of that negative, we're going to also be subtracting on the right side. Now we do our box. Once again, if you get in this unit to where you don't need the box, that would be fantabuloso, but I'm still showing it. So 4x plus 1 squared, what do I need to add? 1. Then y squared split in half. So minus 9 times y plus 2 squared. What do I need to add? 4. Okay, equals -4 plus 4 is 0, and then we get -36. And now we need to get it equal to 1, so I'm going to divide everything by -36, which is going to flip the order of things. Because now I'm going to get a -9, so that means that my my x term and y term needs to switch. So -9 over 36 is going to be over 4. So y plus 2 squared over 4 minus x plus 1 squared over 9. Once again, there's where that negative that I'm reducing comes in, equals 1. So looking at this next one, my y squared term is my positive, so I'm going to move my y squared and my 40y to be at the beginning. Minus x squared minus 4x equals -60. Split it up. Factor out a y, or sorry, 4. Oh, bless. Now here I have to take out that negative 1, x squared, which is going to make that a positive 4x. And then I'm going to be adding 4 times something and minusing, or adding negative 1 times something, I guess. Do your box or not. My brain is getting way ahead of myself right now. Okay, so 4 times y plus 5 squared. What do I add? 25. Then x squared, 2x, x 2, 2. So minus x plus 2 squared. We need to add in 4. All right. So that is going to equal negative 60 plus 100 is 40, minus 4 is our favorite number, 36. And then we divide everything by 36. So y plus 5 squared over 4 goes into 36 9 times. Nothing to do with my x term. And since I wasn't dividing by a negative, there's nothing to be flipping around. Okay, so I want you to pause and try the other 2 questions. Press play when you are ready to try to check your answer. Here's the first one and the last one.